Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Janelle Slade.
And I'm Jay Cohn. Montana's U.S. Senate race took a new twist today.
Libertarian Rick Breckenridge drops out of the race and endorses Republican Matt Rosendale, in part because of what he and Rosendale call an illegal piece of campaign mail. Breckenridge and Rosendale made the announcement in a joint teleconference Wednesday. Breckenridge says he knows he cannot win the race against Democrat Jon Tester, so he's supporting Rosendale as the candidate in the race who he says can best advance the cause of liberty.
Rosendale's campaign then alleged that Tester's supporters are behind a new mailer that slams Rosendale and promotes Breckenridge as a true conservative. The source of the mailer is not identified. Rosendale calls it a dark money attack designed to siphon votes away from him to benefit Senator Tester.
In response, the Tester campaign says it had nothing to do with the mailer and points out that Rosendale has voted against attempts to regulate and disclose dark money campaign spending.
Given this late date in the campaign, MTN political analyst Dr. David Parker says Breckenridge's decision to drop out and endorse Rosendale may have come too late to make a difference.
Plus, he believes dropping out might hurt Montana third-party candidates in the future.
If I'm a member of the Libertarian Party, if I'm a member of the Libertarian Party leadership, I've got to be very angry about this. And certainly it does no good for third-party candidates and third parties in general if the candidates that you nominate decide to ditch and support one of the major party candidates. I don't think it helps.
Now, earlier this week, we reported on the source of campaign donations in Montana's top two contests for U.S. Senate and U.S. House. But there is another even bigger piece of campaign spending in these contests, almost entirely in the Senate race.
MTN's Mike Dennison gives us a breakdown on the flood of money spent so far by outside political groups.
As of this week, outside groups have now spent more than $33 million on Montana's closely watched U.S. Senate contest, a new record for a single election here. Democratic incumbent Jon Tester's campaign has outraised Republican Matt Rosendale's campaign by $14 million. But conservative and Republican Party groups have spent almost $21 million on ads, mailers, and other activity this year to help even the playing field, supporting Rosendale or attacking Senator Tester. And that amount doesn't include the cost of President Trump and Vice President Mike Pence visiting the state a half dozen times to stump for Rosendale. Some of the big spenders on behalf of Rosendale include the National Republican Senatorial Committee at $4.7 million, Club for Growth Action, $3.7 million, the Republican Senate Leadership Fund, nearly $3 million, and a pair of PACs supported by Illinois billionaire donor Richard Uihlein, Restoration PAC and America's PAC, which have spent $3.7 million combined. All told, 22 separate groups have spent on behalf of Rosendale. But protester groups are not sitting on the sidelines. 18 of these groups have spent almost $13 million, primarily attacking Rosendale. They include the Democratic Party groups Senate Majority PAC and Majority Forward, who've spent a collective $6 million, environmental group the League of Conservation Voters at nearly $2 million, and a group called End Citizens United, whose goal is to oppose unlimited money in politics, but it spent $2.2 million to help Tester. Montana State University political scientist David Parker says while these groups are spending big, the monetary advantage probably still goes to Tester with his substantial campaign fund. That's because candidates' campaigns pay lower rates for broadcast ads, so their money goes further. Montana's U.S. House race between Republican Congressman Greg Gianforte and Democrat Kathleen Williams also has seen some outside spending, but only about $400,000, and most of that on behalf of Williams. And with just 6 days until the election, what money's left to be spent will be chasing those few undecided voters who may decide both these races. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Thank you, Mike.
And you can read Mike Dennison's full report on outside spending in the congressional races at ktvq.com.
As Mike mentioned, just 6 days to go until Election Day, and a new poll out this week shows just how close the top two races are. This poll from Gravis Marketing shows neck-and-neck races in both the House and Senate. In the House, a dead heat between incumbent Republican Greg Gianforte and Democrat Kathleen Williams, each garnering 48% support. 3% of those polled, though, say they are still undecided. Meanwhile, in the Senate race, incumbent Jon Tester holding a 3% lead over Republican Matt Rosendale, 48 to 45%. 32% of the 782 likely voters polled said they've in fact already voted. This poll has a margin of error of plus or minus 3.5%. Gravis also asked about President Trump's performance in office. And here in Montana, it's a tale of two extremes. 43% strongly approve, 33% of those polled disapprove of the president's job performance.
So far in Yellowstone County, more than 45,000 absentee ballots have been returned, and you still have time to get yours in. If you plan on sending your ballot by mail, you need to get it out tomorrow, Thursday, to ensure it's counted on Election Day. Starting Friday, you'll need to drop your ballot at your local election office, which you can do up until 8 p.m. on Election Day, Tuesday, November 6th.
Turning to the weather scene tonight, we have some major snow moving across our state. Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire here. Bob, where are we talking?
It's a little bit farther out in the west. It's hard to believe for folks who live in the Billings area. It was a beautiful Halloween night. A lot of kids out there, but let me show you what it looks like on some of our major highways. This is Interstate 90, Bozeman Pass. Yeah, they're getting some snow up there. Still a little wet on the streets. That's good news there. Take a look at this. Homestake Pass also got some snow on the sides, but so far nothing really too bad. McDonald Pass, US 12. Yeah, it's starting to stick to the streets up there. And look at this over at Lookout Pass down by Missoula. I-90 just got some slushy, wet stuff out there, and that's about all they have. But as you see from Great Falls all the way down to Bozeman, that's where we have a winter weather advisory. Could see 3 to 7 inches of snow around the 6,000 foot level by Great Falls, maybe up to 14 inches above 7,500 feet there. And it's probably more like 4 to 8 inches of snow around the Bozeman area and up to 14 inches above 8,000 feet in that region. And as you see here, still looking for some pretty strong gusty winds on Fort Peck Reservoir, 35-mile-per-hour winds tomorrow. It'll be kind of choppy in that area. And take a look at that. Halloween, the kids, I love this costume. Just had to share that with you. Anyway, that's what's happening in the weather. We'll talk more about your forecast for the weekend coming up in a few more minutes.
Okay, that was a little creepy. Thanks so much, Bob.
The opioid epidemic taking a tremendous toll across America. American Indians have been hit particularly hard. Now the Northern Cheyenne tribe here in Montana is fighting back. They filed suit against companies that produce and distribute the pain medication.
The tribe's lawsuit alleges the risk of addiction was misrepresented by those companies and that the opioid epidemic did not happen by accident. More than a dozen drug makers and distributors are named in that lawsuit. It claims the companies have created a public nuisance resulting in overdoses and death. The tribe says it has been hit with a financial burden to pay for treatment and other costs associated with opioid abuse. The tribe is seeking economic damages and a jury trial.
The Northern Cheyenne now the second tribe to file suit against opioid companies.
The Blackfeet tribe filed a similar suit in August.
President Trump has launched a pre-election day push to maintain Republican control of Congress, or at least the Senate.
CBS's Angelica Alvarez reports from the White House.
President Trump's pre-election day push took him to Florida on Wednesday night.
Everything we have achieved, and it's monumental, is at stake in this election.
The rally in Fort Myers was a show of support for a pair of Republicans locked in races too close to call. Governor Rick Scott, who's running for the Senate, and Congressman Ron DeSantis, a White House ally who's looking to succeed Scott as governor.
In less than 1 week, Americans will go to the polls in one of the most important elections of our entire lives. Although I will say, not as important as 2016.
The event kicked off a busy week of last-minute campaigning by the president. Over 6 days, nearly a dozen Make America Great rallies are being held in 8 states. Each of those states supported Trump in 2016. Most now have a Senate seat up for grabs. With time running out before the midterms, the president has returned to an issue that helped propel him to the White House: immigration. In recent days, Mr. Trump has ordered the Pentagon to send thousands of troops to the southern U.S. border.
Now they're saying
the president also said he's considering an executive order to eliminate birthright citizenship.
We will get rid of all of this. We will end, finally, birthright citizenship. It's costing us so many billions of dollars.
When House Speaker Paul Ryan dismissed the idea, Mr. Trump responded with a tweet saying Ryan needs to focus on holding the GOP's House majority in next week's election. Angelica Alvarez, CBS News, the White House.
President Trump makes his 4th visit to Montana this Saturday, November 3rd. You can watch the rally. We'll be carrying it on our website, KTVQ.com.
And full coverage of the rally will be available on your weekend evening news.
Still to come on tonight's 10 o'clock news, a 3-month-old lockout in Three Forks finally over. We'll bring you the details on that story next.
Plus, it was a night of fright for Billings residents. We'll head to the Bates Motel.
And in sports, Scott finds a terrific show of sportsmanship from the football guys out in Circle.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Cohn and Janelle Slade. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.